Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert. Today we're going to explore more music by Mozart. This is a fabulous piece that I didn't know. It's a fantasy in D minor, a very dark, brooding kind of key. It reminds me a lot of the D minor piano concerto. Some of you might have heard it or played it. It has that same kind of key. I think Mozart was probably thinking about that darkness when he composed this piece. This is K397, later in his life. But it also has lots of different changes of mood throughout the whole piece. The beginning is just some rolling chords, almost like just sort of like an introduction. There's no real music to it, no tone, just some really interesting chords. And when he gets to the end, he rises to this half steps, just walking down. That's the introduction. Now we get to the main part of the piece here. This is marked Adagio. Beginning is Andante, which means walking speed. But with this, now the Adagio is a little darker. This is the meat of the piece. It has this marvelous theme and with quiet accompaniment, sort of in the left hand, upper level of the left hand. This is what it sounds like. A little higher, pleading. And a surprising chord also goes into sort of a major key there, but there's some wonderful pathos in this piece, and that's what I love about it. Let's search ahead a little bit with this piece. We build up to a climax with some offbeat rhythms on the second page. They sound something like this. Stop. In the middle of nowhere, he puts a fermata on it. The other thing that I find interesting about this passage is that it has almost a Beethoven-like feel to it. Not Mozart, not frilly parlor music. This is really serious stuff. And of course, as we move along, we get to the first of the cadenzas. Now, we don't see too many cadenzas, maybe in a Mozart piano concerto, but this piece has a few different places where we can sort of show off with technique. It's marked presto. So the end of that passage, and a big presto passage. To me, that sounds more like Beethoven than Mozart. But Mozart can still put some guts in the music, just like Beethoven did. I love playing that passage. It's not easy, but it's fun to play. As we move along, the theme from the beginning comes back, and he develops it a little bit. We still have that dark, and a pesty little piano passage. And then it just opens up beautifully, all in this dark D minor kind of sound. The offbeat rhythm gives the music a little bit of instability. Something more is going to be happening past this passage. What's next? Another cadenza. This one's marked presto. And this is a brilliant one. I've seen these kind of runs in Liszt and Chopin and all of that, but Mozart, this is really an interesting development with Mozart. Here's the presto. And back to that nice D minor theme. So as you can see, Mozart likes to put in cadenzas too. As I mentioned before, the cadenzas also appear in his piano concertos. But this is a cadenza in a solo piano piece. I love that passage. And then we move along to the latter part of the piece. The opening theme comes back, as it does in the beginning, like a recapitulation. And as we get to the end, we expect Mozart to end this piece in a dark manner. So he has the end of this sounds something like this. What comes next? Not minor, major. Allegretto. Finally, we get to something that's sort of fun to play. Here's the allegretto. All that dark stuff just disappears. Here it is. It's marked dolce, sweetly. That's what we've been waiting for Mozart. Real Mozart. Playful, colorful, exciting. And as we move toward the end of the piece, we stay in the key of D major, which is the parallel major to the D minor in the beginning. And as we approach the ending, there's a closing theme that has a left-hand Alberti bass, also something we find a lot in the classical period. So the left hand does this. Keeps the left hand busy. With the right hand, it's a cheery little ending passage. It's a beautiful piece. Mozart was one of the best writers of melodic passages and melodic pieces. It's just a really fabulous ending. Now, let's take a look at the very ending. One more cadenza. We get to a big climax at the end of the previous passage. Big chord and arrival. Now we all know when we hear that sound, musicians know that as the 6/4 chord. And in most of the Mozart piano concertos, we have that chord and it tells us we're at the cadenza. The cadenza sort of gives you that unstable chord, but it's like opening the curtain to some more flashy stuff. So what happens past that big chord? Here's the chord, another cadenza. Little trill there, Mozart's thinking about it. What shall he do next? How about that second theme? D major, cheery, great for an ending. Playful, big chords, soft chords, pianissimo. Forte. It's such a marvelous and cheery ending to this piece. But was this really what Mozart wrote? Apparently not, according to historians. The ending, Mozart didn't write an ending. He stopped the piece on these chords. And then he walked away from the music. We don't know what happened to those last few bars. These last 10 bars were probably written by a musician named Müller, not by Mozart. Is it possible that this piece ended in D minor rather than D major? A lot of historians and people recently, some famous performers, have suggested that it did end in minor. It changes the end of the piece. Instead of being these cheery chords, the piece could have been ended this way. It really changes the ending very much so. You might want to look into this because it is possible that it ended in this dark color. Thanks for watching Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert.